All right. We're going to get things going. We're going to do 30 minutes of work and 5-minute breaks. And you won't be able to see my screen, but I'll be typing for a lot of it. So hopefully that'll be a nice auditory experience for everyone. And yeah, hope everyone's having a good day. Excited to get some work done together. All right, let's do it. Oh my God. Everything is falling. Okay. All right, all right, all right. It's break time, and I missed a minute of break, but that's okay because I needed to take one a little sooner. Hope everyone is doing a great job. I needed to calm myself down, so I ended up journaling for like 15 minutes, 10 minutes, 12, 12 minutes, which was actually really helpful. I feel very calm and centered compared to what I was feeling, and that matters. Mindset matters so much when it comes to getting work done. So that's good. Um, what I'm working on next is the take home assignment for the job that I want. So I've been nervous about doing it all day. And all I need to do is allow myself to have a shitty first draft. And then I get to make it a good second draft. And that's all that matters. Um, it's been it's been an interesting few weeks. I feel like I've been in a pretty severe slump, and I'm just trying to figure out how to, I don't know, not necessarily like pick myself out of it, but like, yeah, I guess get up and keep going. It feels Things have just felt tougher. Um, but I want to make sure that I'm giving myself the best chance that I have to do the things that I want to do. Um, and that matters a lot. I'm exhausted, but that's because I fell asleep on the couch. So that one's on Coach Claire. Um, and I just need to make sure that I don't know, giving myself the best chance to like succeed. And right now I just feel like like the house is messy, things like that. So got to get it together. Got to work on this for like the next hour. And then I'm going to work out and clean my apartment and shower. And I'll feel good and I'll send my thing out for feedback, and things will continue to happen. I feel like I'm doing that thing where like it's really hard to forgive yourself for not having done well for the last little bit, but in order to do better, you got to forgive yourself for what hasn't gone well and just like promise yourself you'll try again. And that's what work is about. And we're gonna do more work in just a minute and 30 seconds, actually. Um, I love that people are using. Somebody just left a comment telling me they're using my Sharpie pen. I love that people are buying stationery. If there's one thing, if I feel like when I started making videos, people kept asking me like, "Oh, is there something that like you want to get for free? Like, do you want to get on PR lists?" And like that was never my goal, which is totally fine. That it's some people's goal, wasn't mine. Um, and I was like, I can't think of a single thing I would like accept for free from a brand. And then I was like, Sharpie. I would accept Sharpie gel pens. I've spent so much of my own money on them over the years. I do feel owed Sharpie gel pens for how many people I've actually gotten to buy those. Oof, oof. Um, okay, 37 seconds. Take some deep breaths, and we're going to be fine. Everything's going to be fine. Everything's going to work out. All of this work will pay off. Okay. Sometimes you just need to take like 5 deep breaths, and everything will be fine. Dun, 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 dun. Maybe I will show my screen. Maybe that'll help me like stay even more focused. Okay. Yay. Good luck. 30 more minutes. Here we go. All right, it's break time. Congratulations, we made it. Oh, thank you for saying I got this. We've got this. Everyone's got this. I do feel okay about my answers to question 1. Is it a little long? Yeah, but I'm a little long-winded. So that's got to be acceptable, you know? I don't think I feel like these questions are worded in a way that I can barely comprehend them. I had to like parse these out with my sister several times this morning, and I still don't feel entirely confident that I know what they're asking and what I'm answering is correct. But that's okay. I just have to get drafts done, and then I have to send those drafts to people, and then I have to get feedback on the drafts, and then I'll be able to make changes tomorrow, do kind of one more round with myself, and then I can submit them. So, exactly. It's always easier to edit down. I don't want to like be redundant, but yeah, it's like it's design thinking questions. So it's like, you want to empathize with this person, you want to make sure you're saying this, and like I have to write some sample emails now, which is fine because that's what the job would be. Like my job would be writing emails. But yeah, just it's always funny what you end up looking up when you're doing job applications, and this time it was whether Toastmasters is one word, and it is. Um, but yeah, I don't it genuinely feels like they did not give these questions to anyone outside of their team to see if they made sense. And part of me is like I could email them and be like, am I supposed to have access to this database, or is this supposed to be a hypothetical question? Um, and I did get really upset this morning thinking about it because I don't think I I think mind games are one of the worst parts of a hiring process because you don't need to play mind games. Like you want your team to trust you, so why wouldn't you want to establish that trust very early on? So I don't think they're doing this. But the way the question made me feel was the exact same way that in high school in algebra 2, I had a very good algebra 2 teacher. But one of the concepts we had learned was like one of the we learned some concept, and one of the answers to like homework and something that we had done in class was like there's not enough data to provide an answer for this, which is fine. That's a real math thing. But then on a test he gave us one of those questions, and I got so frustrated that I broke into tears in the middle of the test because I was just like I I'm either really stupid or this doesn't make sense. And it turned out it didn't make sense, but I felt really stupid. And so the teacher after that like was like, "Oh, I probably shouldn't do that to kids." Like, and I get it. I get that like it is a real thing. We had practiced it in homework. He knew that I had encountered questions like this before. But on a test, you don't want to say there's no answer if there's you know what I mean? So that's how this first question made me feel was like, am I supposed to have more data? Is the answer to this like I would need more data in order to complete the question? Because if so, that sucks. And then I was talking to my sister, and she reminded me that like, no, not based on what we know. What we know about this company is just that they probably did not have anyone outside the team read the questions, and so the questions make a lot of sense if you're on the team and in the know. And to outsiders, it's just it's jargon. But it's one of those like I don't know, SAT prep really fucking ruins your brain in terms of like, okay, so they've included the answer within the question. So now I just have to reword the answer they've already given me, but like that's not what I'm trying to do. Um, it'll be okay though. I feel pretty good about it, and that's so much better than I felt the last few hours. And I'm gonna plug away. We have a minute left to break. Plug away for another 30 minutes, and hopefully in those 30 minutes I'll basically get it done, and then I can at least send a draft off to probably my dad and my sister. Maybe I'll ask my friend Christina. I love having people in my life who I'm like, they're very smart. They will be able to tell me if this is a good response or not. Um, Thank you. I feel like the last 2 interviews have gone really well, and what they're actually testing me on for this is, do I have discernment? Like, can I look at data and discern what's important from it? And do I have appropriate email etiquette? So I don't have to ace it. I just have to get through to the next round. You know what I mean? So I put too much pressure on it, but that's okay. That's okay because I'm plugging away. All right. 8, 7. Let's all take a deep breath and then we'll do some work. And I'm going to stare at my cat while I breathe because she's also breathing. Yay, time to go. Ooh. Wait, is that real? Oh, I thought I had written the exact same amount of words and that would have been funny. Oh my god, I don't want to do this. Why did I give myself such long time blocks? Okay, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine, it's good. Okay, complaining out loud is good. You're not allowed to get off focus, but you are allowed to complain out loud. I am a banana. Tuesday's coming. Did you bring your coat? I want more coffee. Oh, this coffee doesn't taste good. Okay, everything's gonna be fine. I'm doing great. Having several breakdowns today. Okay, this one's the hardest. Let's skip part 3. Well, I like my. Ooh, this candle is tunneling. I'm gonna have to fix that later. Yay, we did it. We made it to break. Congratulations. I have written 1,100 words in the last hour. A little over. Ooh, that's fun. Accredited yoga teacher for pregnancy. Very cool. Well, I hope your accreditation goes well. I know that it takes like so many hours of practice. I have a few friends who have done yoga accreditation. And it's very cool. And they're so good at squatting now. That's really fun. And yeah, yoga for pregnancy is very cool. I used to take a dance class when I was younger. I took a lot of dance classes when I was younger, but there was like 1 year where I took a lot of dance classes at this kind of like local place that was a lot more like rec classes than like talent based classes kind of vibe. Which was really fun for me because I just needed dance to be like fun again. And it was with like and so there was a lot of pregnant ladies in my dance class when I was in high school, and that was really fun. And I got to talk to them about like maintaining their um physical fitness while pregnant. But like sometimes there was one woman who was 9 months pregnant, and we were doing our final recital, and all of us were just like, "It looks like you're about to birth." Like she was so close to bursting. The woman who gave me my interview yesterday was like, I'm interviewing you because the person who should be doing this is on maternity leave. But what's funny about that is that I'm about any day now, I'm having my baby." And I was like, "Oh my God." But that was cool. It was good. It was good to see. It's nice to know that a bunch of people went on maternity leave this year and the company is like responding correctly to that, which is like hiring more support people in the meantime and like making sure that everybody's taken care of. But it speaks well of the company that women felt comfortable taking maternity leave and time off and things. So that's good. I mean, it wouldn't, I can't know that they felt, but it's good. It's a good sign that no one was worried and that this was relayed to me as very like, so that's why this is happening. Um, so yeah, I have to write these fake emails for this assignment, and I'm having such a hard time with it, even though I do customer service stuff all the fucking time. But I'm like, um, I don't know. It's tough. And I'm kind of like, did the email start with dear? You know what I mean? Like, because my emails start with hi or hello or good afternoon. Um, and that way it just feels more natural. Maybe I'll put good afternoon. I'm only allowed to do 150 words max on these. So that's really key. And I'm making shit up. I'm like, I don't know if this is allowed, but this is what I would do if this was happening. Uh, so it's like you got to get over the self doubt of like just making shit up. And I do understand that what they're actually looking for with this is not my solution, but is rather my communication style, my syntax, blah 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 blah. And believe it or not, I do have a degree in writing. I will say I find a lot of like yeah, the deer's a little formal. I'm gonna go with good afternoon, because that's when I wrote these, and that'll be good. And that is how I would email. I feel like the first time like there was a time in high school that my terrible high school English teacher for senior year made us email him so that he could like I don't know have a power move before we even started the class where we had to like email him a promise. Um, that we would read these like books over the summer or something. And I was like, how do you start this email? Like, dear Mr. McFadden. And everybody was like, no, just write his name and then a comma. And I was like, that's rude. And it still feels rude, but he didn't deserve niceties. Yeah, they definitely value brevity, which is great. Like, I'm glad that I don't have to write it. I'm glad that the minimum isn't, like it's good. Max 150 words. But in those 150 words, I'm supposed to like confirm the issue that they had, propose a new solution, and you leave them feeling like very taken care of. And I have to like do it from two perspectives. So I have to write one email to like the member and one email to like the purveyor basically. And so the member email has to be a lot warmer and much more like, if there's anything I can do and we want to make sure that this is the right fit, please don't hesitate to reach out. And for the like service person it's much more like, okay, so was there anything we could have flagged earlier? Did you notice any of these during your compatibility sessions that grew? Was there anything blah blah blah? So I'm trying to come up with like prompts around that are like good without being overbearing basically. Oh my God. Okay, another 30 minutes, and then I will have done 2 hours of work, and we can take a 10-minute break. Congratulations, everyone. We're going to get through this. Go team and break. Hmm. 122 words, baby. Maybe we don't need the extra 30. Um, we are so sorry. What's happening? Oh, what a nightmare. Great. Cool. I love sending my dad words that I would never say out loud to him uh, in any other context. Oh my god, congratulations, we did it. We made it through another half an hour of work. No, seriously, congratulations to everyone. Oh, I'm so glad you caught the live. I also find working from home very lonely sometimes, and that's why I do these. If you've been working with me the whole time, congratulations, you've done 2 hours of work. Very cool. This is gonna be a 10-minute break. I'm probably gonna pack it up after this because I have to work out and shower and do some other stuff today. And then I have more work later, but I'm currently waiting on feedback to this, and then I can do that work tonight. And oh my god, everything is awesome. I feel like an idiot. I hate having other people read this kind of work. Oh, thank you so much. I will continue to do deep dives. I got YouTube got very mad at me yesterday because I was pulling clips of every time they say I want from the episodes, and they kicked me off the live, which has never happened to me before. So the thing is, I think Crave should be a little more forgiving of of my use of their copyright material. Because I do feel like I have done hours of free advertising for them. Like, not only on this platform. And so part of me was like, "Come on, let me have it. It's fine. No one's gonna watch my videos instead of watching the fucking show." You know what I mean? But there have been requests for as long as I've been doing this for me to do like a watch along commentary. So I do want to do that. I want to do the hands essay. I gave myself a deadline of tomorrow in my head for that. Oh no, that's such a bummer. I when it cut off, I cackled in my house. Ooh, what was I gonna say about episode 2? Oh no, now I'm curious. Yeah, the watch along it's gonna have to be on Patreon. Like I think that is the only way to do it. It's gonna have to be paid content, like behind a paywall, but ideally I will create enough free content that people don't get upset about that fact. It'll be like $5, you know what I mean? Like, and I'll put all of them up so everyone can just sign up for like 1 month, one thing. Um, I don't intend to, try to milk people for money for this. I think that is the only way to do it. So that'll be coming. Agreement. Oh, yeah. I think it's very sweet that Ilya expresses that what he wants from Shane at the end of episode 2 is to kiss him. Um, it's extra upsetting. It is extra upsetting. The "we didn't even kiss" makes a lot more sense when you realize that Shane felt promised that. Like, he went up to that suite knowing one thing, "We're gonna make out," and then they didn't. And like, oh no! Especially because like I feel like I get pushback on this anytime I say it, but I'm like, Shane wants the boyfriend experience from go. Shane is more like, and part of it is because he's never done hookup stuff before. So he doesn't really do no strings attached as far as we know. As far as we know. But even in the book, he had girlfriends. And he wants the boyfriend experience. He wants his boyfriend to be nice to him. And Ilya is a fucking wreck in the way that many children who are kind of healing from like he was a child in the beginning. Somebody commented age of consent on why they waited 2 years to have sex. I feel people are very confused about what the age of consent is for. It's not for teenagers. Like, and I know that in some states it is, but in a lot of states, there's literally things that are like, if it's within 2 years, age of consent is not harsh because it's that thing of like, well, if you start dating someone and you're both 17 and then they turn 18, like you're not going to get arrested for making out with your 17-year-old girlfriend. You're both in high school. So someone said age of consent and I was like, what the fuck? They're 17 when like at the youngest they're 17 when they meet. I don't think age of consent factors into this at all. I do think like yeah, having sex at different times in your life obviously has different effects on like how you feel about it, whatever. But I do think that Shane's inexperience is not just sexual. It's sexual and emotional. And Ilya's inexperience is emotional. Ilya has never had these types of deep emotions about anyone. Even Svetlana, the person that he hooks up with the longest and the most, he has platonic like affection for and he has sexual chemistry with, but he doesn't have romantic feelings about her. And he makes that very clear. The only person we see him have a lot of romantic feelings for, because that's the only part of the story we care about, is Shane. And so this idea that like they both want to be boyfriends so immediately, it's never the other thing that I get pushback on. It was never casual. It was never casual between those two. The very first time they make out in the hotel, it's not casual. It like it's simply not. And so like it's I don't know, even like the first time they hook up, Shane is the one who ruins the mood at the end by being like, "You're not going to tell anyone about this," but like that makes sense. He's fucking nervous. He's scared. It's okay. Like I get why he says it, but it does make Ilya go like, "Oh right, that's what this is to this guy is like a hookup." And this is one time thing. It's never going to happen again. And then it happens again like a few months later because Ilya's like, "Oh, he's charming." So I find that fun. But yeah, Shane wants like what he can get, and then Ilya's like, "This is what you can get." Um, and so Shane's like, "Okay, great. Then I'll accept that. That's what I can get. Great. That's what I'll take." And it's why the rules changing in episode 4 is so drastic for him because like I just oh god. Like okay, just episode 2 from Shane's perspective. Like I know it's devastating from Ilya's perspective as well because he's doing denial stuff and that's sad. Um, because honestly, for me, he's a jock. He doesn't fucking pay attention. I think Shane not having a great sense of what's going on in the world outside of hockey and himself makes total sense to me. I understand. Like I, I have pretty extensive knowledge of Russian politics in particular. At that time, it was a huge deal. But I also think like it goes to show how little Shane is actually involved in anything to do with like queerness. That was like all of my friends are gay, so like when Russia banned gays, it was a huge deal, and Pussy Riot was a big deal, and all of these things. So like, um, he does care about Ilya, but he doesn't care in that. I don't think that's how Shane's care gets expressed. Is like knowing background context for things because he doesn't even know that Ilya's like he's not asking questions in other ways about Ilya either. Um, like he doesn't know that Ilya's dad is sick until episode 5. Um and he's had several hints at that point that Ilya does not like his family. But he hasn't locked into like right, and that's because of this or anything like that. Also, Ilya's not exactly forthcoming with like I don't want to like he said he wants to go back to Russia and Shane's like, okay. Like, and then he says at the end of episode 2, he's like, is it safe for you? And like that's Shane expressing that he cares so much. And also he's having that conversation while he's drinking like vodka that he doesn't want to drink. And this guy is smoking next to him and like, hey, look, I'm a smoker. I don't smoke cigarettes inside. I'm not a heathen. And so the idea of sitting in a hotel room, like I will say, like a cigarette after sex inside is I've done it. It's sexy, not in my house, but in others. But like, it's Shane's worst nightmare is that he's like being forced to drink like really strong alcohol. Not forced to, but he's drinking really strong alcohol, and this guy that he really likes is being really dismissive and cold to him even after they've done something so intimate. And then he's trying to be nice. He's trying to ask questions. Maybe he's realized that when he said on the roof in Vegas, like, must be nice to go home, that was what triggered Ilya last time. So he's like, okay, not going to do that. This time when I ask about Russia, I'm going to be like, do you like it there? Do you want to go back? Do you feel safe? And that's going to piss him off in equal measure. Because it's not that Shane is wrong in making these assumptions or asking these questions. It's that Ilya's triggered. And so like it's not Shane, like our triggers are our own responsibility and also blah blah blah. They're getting to know each other and it's hard for them to get to know each other because they're just like they're just they're so stupid about each other. Um yeah, I mean that's the thing though is like anytime Shane gets a bit of feedback, he does seem to implement it pretty immediately. Like he's very like, okay, so this didn't go well. So next time I'll try this. Like he can't like and he can't ask about Russia, he can't ask about his family. He's tried like because he asked about he says like okay must be nice in episode 1 when Ilya's like I go back home in 3 days and it's like yeah because Shane has never experienced the thought that going home would not be something that would be entirely pleasant. Like, and even when he's like mad at his mom or whatever, like there's such a different relationship that children of abuse, like children in abusive households have, obviously, because it's complicated. Um, but I think Shane is so like, um, and so the first episode, he's like, oh, okay, this guy doesn't want to go home. Maybe I don't know that he he remembers that, but it seems he does. And then um, at the bottom of the stairwell in the very next episode, he's like, my parents are really excited about the Olympics. Are your parents excited that it's in Russia? And like Ilya does the thing that a lot of people do who have deceased parents of like just not naming his mom. Um, but then Shane follows up later with those same like he's now like, okay, so you got a brother, you got a dad, like great. Information stored away for later. And then, when he goes to Russia, I also think that Shane is not like Shane doesn't think they're gonna hook up in Russia or anything like that. But I do think when he sees Ilya, he's very like, oh fuck. And also at that point, like Ilya lost and he knows that Ilya's not good at losing. It's like, but he's not allowed to approach him because Ilya's in self-denial mode now. And he's not allowed to want the thing he wants the most. And the thing he wants the most is Shane. And that's what romance is, baby. Um And the idea of a child who grew up in an abusive household denying themselves the single thing that brings them the most pleasure in the world is some days look, some days I relate to Shane as an undiagnosed 30-something-year-old with autism and a lot of hyperfocuses, and sometimes I relate to Ilya as a child of an abusive household who dealt with a lot of weird dynamics with siblings around favoritism and being gay. Um, like, and what the text that Shane sends is, "Hey, you doing okay?" Like, that's all he wants to know. He just wants to know if Ilya's doing okay. And Ilya not responding to, "Hey, you doing okay?" with like, "Yeah, leave me alone." Like, there's a million responses he could have given. He doesn't give any of them, which is fine. People like it's hard sometimes to respond to like he doesn't want to lie to Shane and say it's fine. But he also doesn't want to burden Shane and say, like, no, I'm falling apart. I fucking hate this. Um, so he just doesn't say anything. And so when Shane checks in on him, he is doing the like, I don't think you're okay, and I'd like to be here for you. And Ilya's response to that is to make him feel like teeny because he knows that Shane won't go away otherwise, and he's trying to protect him. So we under like it's really great miscommunication because we as the audience completely understand where both of them are coming from, and that's really key. Um, and exactly. Ilya's not. Ilya's like, how am I doing? I'm it's like the scene in Real Housewives of New York where Candace Bushnell looks at Dorinda and goes, "How are you doing?" And Dorinda goes, "How am I doing? Not well, bitch." That's how Ilya's doing. That is Ilya's reaction to being asked that. He's not doing well, okay, and he can't get into it. Not here, maybe not ever. He's gonna have to win a cup first to like prove something to himself and therefore to his father and therefore to like his country. Because he can't feel like secure in what he offers people if he's not good at hockey, because that's the only thing that he feels intrinsic value in himself around. And so like Ilya losing at the Olympics puts him off kilter in a completely different way because he doesn't have any other types of support. So losing at the Olympics is a really big deal for him. Um and yeah, I think that's exactly like the way that they're miscommunicating is perfect in terms of like exemplifying what like a true enemies to lovers vibe is, where it's like, no, no, it's not just that they're not saying the right words to each other. It's that they're saying what they mean, but the other one can't hear them. Yeah, like I think it's kind of glossed over. I think they obviously like they didn't have the sets for Russia in the same way. Um so I get why, but like Ilya losing that hockey match to Latvia, which is also like there's a lot to do with the politics of the US, the former USSR defeating, you know what I mean? Like there's a ton there, but also like if we're actually going by what Russia was doing in Sochi in 2014, everybody needs to go watch the documentary Icarus. Like, it was doping on a level that actually is like unfathomable in many ways. And I, as someone who has a very deep special interest in doping in sports, and that all started from my Lance Armstrong documentary obsession. What happened in Russia in 2014 has always been of interest to me. And so it wouldn't like there's if you have some historical context for that, it adds so much because the idea that like one is Ilya being brought into like state sponsored doping for the Olympics question. Like, if he's not, is that what the loss is being blamed? You know what I mean? Like the national shame around it, the idea that hockey is also like a really big deal in Russia. Like there are sports that Russians expect to excel in always, and a lot of those are Winter Olympic sports because of the climate. And so the idea that like not only did he not do well, he didn't do well in one of their national pride sports, and especially one that they like to like beat beat the North Americans in particular, like not just like obviously like Canada and America are two very separate countries with two very different relationships to the USSR, to the former USSR, because now it's right. But like that animosity is still there. And honestly, like the Canadian Russian rivalry is like a real thing too. Um, we cannot deny Canada. They're like three major pop culture and like historically significant things, and one of them is hockey. So It does make sense there too. And I feel like that's also why like the rivalry is understated in the show. Like, but if you have an awareness of hockey culture, if you have an awareness of Russian history, if you have an aware, like it adds to it. So there's a lot of like background context that we as the viewers get to add, which I think is really cool. I made one video where I mentioned the Russian state-sponsored doping, and I got a bunch of um, really weird, really aggressive comments about it. So I've never brought it up again because I'm like, I'm not really looking to fight with a bunch of Russians about their doping program. Especially because, like, I agree that America also has a uniquely insidious doping program. Especially a lot of small countries do, in particular. Because if you're a doping agent and you go to a country where they have a particularly notable athlete, say one who runs really fast, and there's a half life on the drugs that they're taking of 6 hours, well, that doping agent just might be caught up at the airport for 6 hours. And by the time they get to that person's house to do the urine test, they can pass. Um, there's some really interesting interviews with former doping doctors, with people who have done it. The movie Icarus is really fascinating in terms of like the 2014 Sochi stuff. But like what I always walk away with from any anti-doping documentary is really an acute awareness of just how few people in regulatory positions care to do anything about this, and how like the ICC is actually just like really a front to pretend like we care about it. Um, and I do think that there is like genuine improvement in so many different athletic spheres because once like, I don't know, I think they talked about this in maybe Shaun White's documentary. It's so much easier to throw a backflip once somebody throws the trick, it's so much easier for other people to do it. But you got to be the first to do it, and that's what makes it hard. And so, like with snowboarding and stuff, like nobody was throwing these tricks 10 years ago, but it's not because they didn't have the talent; it's because they didn't have the know-how, and so talent has just gotten exponential. And like it's the same if you watch like the Tour de France, like a lot of those guys are better riders than people 20 years ago because they have the skill and the training and knowledge accumulates. So anyway, that's my rant about doping. You can add some fun context to your next watch of episode 2 if you catch a documentary. Yeah, and like I think the blaming by his dad is fascinating. But also Svetlana does a really good job of being like your dad would have been awful to you if you had won or lost. So you need to not focus on that so much. I think that that's really helpful. And honestly, having friends who are good at snapping you out of like your abusive headspace spirals is really key. I think for most people. So I love their friendship, and I think it's going to create some interesting diversions from canon in season 2. Like Ilya's loneliness isn't as pronounced if he's got a friend who he's had since childhood who definitely knows about him and Shane. Um, Maybe that's a change I'm interested in them making, but also like I don't know. It's one of those like yeah, they're in love, so I don't really have a problem with the fact that Ilya moves for a boy. Um, but in it's that thing of like it's a book, so I don't need to bring my real life moral values to it. But there are certain things in the long game in particular that I am like, oh, and one of them, which I'll rant about, and then I have to go, is Shane's salary cap. um, Oh, yeah, that's true. I really hate in the long game that the way that they quote unquote like solve Shane's storyline is just moving him to his husband's team, who is like all accepting and wonderful, and Shane just has to take a salary cut. And Ilya's kind of like, we have enough money, don't worry about it. Because the thing is, they do have enough money. Shane does get enough from sponsorships. He does not need his salary to be large. You know what I mean? Like he doesn't need that. He doesn't need the money. However, Shane taking a pay cut represents a lot more than that for me. Because like I'm like, well, you should never rely on your husband's income. Yeah, salary caps are a thing in sports, but Shane being the only one to take a pay cut feels weird. I feel like there could have been like, I don't know, there's just other, the sentence doesn't need to be you have a very rich husband. It can be you make so much, you know what I mean? Like it doesn't need to be about him, about Ilya and him combined making more. It can be about Shane having like more brand deals, more whatever. I think there's just a different way to do it. Because the thing is, in the books in particular, Shane is much more feminized than he is in the show. And I just really find that to be something that like I think the show actually does a lot of rectifying that issue. Like I don't like the power dynamics. Um and so I think like the idea of Shane who is already fighting against being like shorter and the bottom and like other things that we typically associate with feminization, I think is going to be is particular is pronounced in the books in a way that it's not in the show. Thank God. It's why I like the show in comparison to the books. I think the books are fine, but I think a lot of times they get lauded in ways that I'm like, I actually don't think that's good. So I yeah, I think the salary cap, like it makes sense that like he's not the starting center, he's not the captain, he's going to take a slightly lower salary. But I just think that it like it's one of those just there's something icky. It just makes my brain go like, oh, I don't like the idea of someone taking a pay cut in order to be more reliant on their spouse's income, even if their spouse and them are both millionaires. It rubs something in me a little bit like, oh, um, because like Shane, the other thing about the long game is like Shane has to give everything up. Like in order to equalize within their relationship, Ilya feels like he had to like the whole point is that Ilya like sacrificed his entire life to be with Shane and Shane didn't sacrifice anything. Sure. And so then the plot plays out as a nightmare saw trap scenario for Shane where every single greatest fear he has ever had comes true and his team he loses his team, he loses everything and only then does the narrative seem to feel like he has committed enough retribution to deserve Ilya again. Like that is the vibe that I get from the second book, and I don't like that at all. And so there is part of me that is very like I'm curious to see what season 2 is and does. I don't know that I'll be as in love. You know what I mean? It's just yeah, it doesn't to me the narrative that Shane goes through in book 2 is extremely punishing. Um and it seems like and the trip is part of that. Like it's more than just shit happens. It's like every single thing that Shane was worried about came true. I think that treating his eating disorder like a nuisance is also something I have a really big issue with. And I also don't buy that like she gave Shane an eating disorder because she mirrors the restrictive eating with the unrestricted eating of Ilya. And both of them are exhibiting extremely disordered eating behaviors. So I don't think you can like directly contrast that and then say like I didn't mean to, but whatever. Um and so yeah, I find Shane's eating disorder stuff to be really like triggering but also very like he's it's clear that he's feeling out of control in every other aspect. This is the one thing he can control and everyone's making fun of him for it and no one's and then he's able to just get over it by eating a candy bar. Like it that like the wrapping that storyline, which is a deeply intense, very sensitive subject up by kind of making a joke, just left a very bad taste in my mouth. And like I do believe that the show can exemplify things in different ways and whatever, but like yeah, it's not thought all the way through because the thing is I think there are habits that people pick up when they write certain things and fic is one of those things where a lot of authors who become traditionally published authors who start out in fan fiction often have little fic tells. Um, and one of them is setting up huge plot points and then wrapping them up extremely quickly because a lot of times the huge plot point thing is introduced at the very end of one chapter so that the people who are subscribed to the work in progress are excited for the next chapter. It's like a serialization thing. um and yeah, exactly, like, oh, a plane crash, oh, but they're engaged now so it's fine, and it's like, well, no, he has to get on a plane for work, so I'm going to need you to walk me through what the Centaurs did to get everybody back on board with taking private planes again, because like private planes are way more likely to crash. Like what's the deal here? Um, so like things like that, like huge build up around the food thing. Oh, you can cure it by eating candy, and it's like no, like that's going to be a thing he's going to have to unpack for a lot. Like not everyone in recovery struggles, blah blah blah, but like mm, um it just, yeah, it doesn't, the second book really doesn't work for me in terms of like one piece of narrative fiction. I think you do have to read the other books surrounding it to get like a good sense of major impacts and things, and I don't like that. It feels, I don't know. I'm feeling a little too comfortable, and I'm like about to reveal a bunch of stuff that I really don't like about the Game Changer series, but I don't particularly love the Centaurs plot. It feels very like Avengers. I don't know if anybody ever read Avengers fic 10 years ago, but like there used to be a thing in the Avengers fandom where everybody would live in Stark Tower, and like everybody had their own floor, and everything was like it's this very like bubble filled bubblegum kind of world where it's like, well, this isn't. And so I'm curious. I'm curious how it's gonna go. Maybe I'll really like it. I'm not trying to prejudge it. That's why I don't have any hopes or expectations. I almost want to wait, similar to how I watched this season, where I watched all five in like one go, and then I only had to wait a few days for the finale because that was really satisfying for me. Um but yeah, like there's something about it where like the Heated Rivalry is a very good self-contained romance story. You need six characters and a little bit of hockey, and you're good. The Long Game is a completely different beast because the world feels very different, because we've gone from having no gay NHL players to having half of one team be like, it's very like not half of one team, but just like there's so many, like it's very utopia in a way that doesn't feel like it keeps the stakes that Heated Rivalry really dealt with. So anyway, that's my rant about the Long Game. I should go. I have to work out and shower, and I can clearly talk about Heated Rivalry all fucking day, man. So maybe one day I'll remember to like turn the camera around so that you're not just staring at my screen while I do this. I think I feel like Jacob may have even said they're going to do that recently. I feel like he hinted at the fact that it might not be over in season two, which they're gonna have to give a happy ending to season, like but I think, ugh, God, here's the thing. I don't care to have a Ryan and Fabian episode. I don't care to have a Troy and whatever his name is episode. Sorry to that man. Like I don't. It's not. That's not those are not the romances that compelled me. And similar to how I skip episode 3 because I don't care for Skip. I'm just like, yeah, it's fine, and it'll exist, and I'll have my opinions about what exists, and I'm trying not to like form opinions beforehand. But I'm like, yeah, if they're gonna slow things down, if they're gonna flesh out the world and give us a little bit more, that does make sense. I think that would be good world building, and I don't know that I care. So, like, we'll see. But I don't know. I feel like a lot of people get very nervous about things ahead of time, especially when it comes to media. And I really have tried in the last few years to not have expectations. Um, in order to not create disappointment that did not need to exist. Like, I don't know, this is the example I always use, but when Joel Kim Booster's gay rom-com Fire Island came out, um people got really annoyed that it was Pride and Prejudice, but it didn't have the right timeline, and it was like too condensed and all these things. And so I kept seeing reviews where people would like walk through the movie and be like, what I thought was going to happen was this. And when that didn't happen and this happened, I was really annoyed. And I'm like, but did the thing that actually happened annoy you? Or did the lack of meeting your expectation annoy you? Um, so it's a practice. Like obviously I have so many opinions that I just shared on like potential season 2 things and thoughts I've had. But in terms of like when I sit down to watch episode 1, I don't wanna have anything in my head around, like, "Well, this is what's gonna happen, and this is what I'm expecting." Because I feel like as soon as I do that, it's never gonna meet what's in my head, and therefore, inevitably, I'm not gonna have, like, as positive of a relationship with it. And when I went into Heat of Reverie, I was flying just I had one friend who like I really respect. I think she's genuinely one of the smartest people I've ever met. And she's really brilliant. And so she kept being like, you should read this. You should read these fucking books. And so she DM'd me. I have it's so funny to me that I have like a timeline of myself finding out about this because it's all digital. She lives in Maine. And so like she DM'd me like, "Oh my god, this the my favorite books are getting an adaptation. I'm gonna have to get a VPN and watch it in Canada." And I was like, "Oh, I can help you set up with that." And then it got announced that it was on HBO, and she has my HBO login because she uses it to watch The Pit. So she was like, "Oh my god, you have to keep your HBO for." And I was like, "Don't worry, you got it." And then it started, and she kept being like, "You should watch it. You should watch it." And then one night, I was like, "All right, let's find out." And the only thing I had seen about it at that point was Jordan Firstman, who I used to like. I have very complicated feelings about Jordan Firstman, but I used to be a big, big fan of his back in the day. And so he had said some bullshit about the gay sex not being how real gay men have sex. And it was just very like, okay, well, everybody's sex life is different. So sure. And then the only other thing I had seen is like, I think this show is the only time I've seen sex fade to black and then fade back into more sex. And I was like, that's fascinating. And it is. Episode 2 is genuinely fascinating. I don't think there's ever really been something like that before. I think the way that they depicted the sex scenes was really sweet and unique and wonderful. And that made the show really memorable right away because human sexuality is one of the things that we have in common with each other. Okay. Once again, evidencing just how bad I am at logging off and saying goodbye, which is why Irish exits are my preferred way to exit. And also, I'm Irish, so every exit I do is an Irish exit. I don't watch The Pit, just my friend does. I'm sorry. I watched the first episode and the hand freaked me out so bad that I never watched it again. And also, I was into primetime Grey's Anatomy and nothing quite hits the same. So I just, but I'm glad that people enjoy it, you know? So yeah, I haven't watched it. Heat of River has been the only new thing I've watched in a very long time, but I did get an external DVD drive, so I can finally rip my DVDs and talk with clips about other shows because I don't torrent anymore. So the Heat of River has been the only clips I've had, and I love including clips. It's so much fun. I love having exact context for what I'm saying. And that's yeah. So yeah, that's I stopped a little sooner than that, but that's about when I was like, "Okay, I'm out." I think it might have been did Karev have a weird thing before Derek died? No, Karev was after. I, like, got back into it and then was like, "Ugh." But early Shonda, oh, no one writes a romance, quite like Shonda Rhimes when she really lets herself do it. Season 1 of Bridgerton, incredible besides the one big plot point that I was like, "Why didn't you just change that?" The Queen Charlotte season of Bridgerton, incredible. Seasons 1 through 4 of Grey's Anatomy, I was on the floor crying like every other episode. Um, like I chasing cars was only about Denny for most of my life, and I have seen Snow Patrol live several times. Yeah, God, and Christina and Burke and it's really a shame what happened on set because Christina and Burke were I love Christina Yang. She's one of my favorite female characters of all time. Okay, I really have to go now. So thank you all so much for being here. I will probably do some more lives later for when I do more work on this. We'll see. And yeah, hope everyone has a great rest of your, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. What is it in Truman Show? Anyway, that. Hope wherever you are in the world, you're having a good day or night, and I'll talk to you later. Thanks. Bye.